Discover how natural cures challenge conventional cancer treatments and inspire transformative
What
stories.
was the most challenging part of this work?
Okay, well, I came to write about it not because I have any particular background in health science or cancer or anything like that. It's because I had a very close friend who was a very successful practicing medical doctor in the San Francisco area, and we had a lot in common, but we never talked much about medicine, which was, of course, his profession. We had a common interest in what was going on in the world, politically, socially, and what was happening to the money supply and all those more serious things. Of course, health is very serious too, but most of us, at least it was true of me at that time, we felt we had no control over our own health. If we were healthy, that was good. And if we got sick, well, we were one of the unlucky ones. So then we had no responsibility for that, of course. So we had to go to the doctor and ask the doctor to fix us up. But so that was my attitude at the time. So we never talked much about his profession. But one day we got together and he asked me, he said, "Ed, I have a favor to ask of you." Of course, I said, "Sure, what is it?" This is Dr. John Richardson, by the way, he was an ear, eye, nose, and throat specialist in the San Francisco area, had a very large practice there. And he said, I am getting in trouble with the medical profession, the California Medical Society Association, and indirectly the American Medical Association. And I said, well, you were getting in trouble with them? Why? He said, it's because I'm curing cancer. I did not understand the irony of that statement at the time. I said, what do you mean, you're curing cancer and that's getting you in trouble? And he said, yes, that is the problem. And so I said, well, you have to explain that to me. And he did. He said, well, here it is. He said, I've been treating cancer patients with a substance that's found in nature. He said, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm a medical doctor. I went to school and learned about medicines that are made in test tubes and in factories. And they don't come from nature. They come from chemistry, man-made patented chemicals and compounds and that sort of thing. He said, so when I started to do this, I was very leery about it because I had no faith in it, because that's contrary to everything that I had been taught in school. He said, but because of my office manager, who was quite a brilliant fellow on his own, he wasn't a doctor, but he knew a lot about medicine and health. And he said, because of my office manager, I was introduced to a substance that he had heard about that had been acclaimed to be very successful in curing these so-called uncurable cancers. He said, well, I wasn't very anxious to step outside of my role. I didn't want to mess around with it, but he was quite incessant, and he insisted, and he said, I decided to try it on my dog. He said, my dog had cancer. We tried all the therapies that I knew about, that I'd learned in medical school. The poor dog was getting sicker and sicker and nothing was happening. And we were going to have to put him down. So he thought, well, what if I got to lose? The poor animal was going anyway. So he started to use this substance. And lo and behold, the dog got well very quickly and was out there prancing around and chasing sticks and balls that were being thrown at him. And he wanted to play. He had returned to health. I said, well, this is amazing. So at that point, Dr. John explained to me they took a real serious interest in studying this substance found in nature. And he found out that there was quite a bit of a good science behind why it should possibly work. It wasn't just something that had been handed down by somebody's grandfather or grandmother. This was the substance in question, which I'll get to in a moment, had been tested extensively in laboratories around the world and had been known in Europe for almost 100 years, but never had it ever been accepted by the, let's call it the pharmaceutical industry or the fraternity, because you can't patent something that's found in nature.